On a national day of mourning after 9/11, President George W. Bush said the tragedy had brought political parties together, and our country as well, in a kinship of grief. There was no room for politics.
We were struck by a different tone yesterday from President Trump after another national tragedy, the deadly midair collision, and we asked Margaret Brennan for some historical perspective.
We're here for you to wipe away the tears.
After a few words of comfort, President Donald Trump infused political heat into tragedy.
I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first.
A very different tone than the one struck 40 years ago by the last Republican president to confront a plane crash on the Potomac.
Yesterday, we saw a partnership, yes. The agencies and departments of government responsible in times of emergency were there. The heroism of the firemen in the icy waters is well known to all of us.
Mr. Trump used the majority of his remarks yesterday to claim diversity efforts led to lower aviation hiring standards put in place by Democrats and former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
He's a disaster now. He's just got a good line of bullshit. The Department of Transportation, his government agency charged with regulating civil aviation. Well, he runs it, 45,000 people, and he's run it right into the ground with his diversity.
When asked, Mr. Trump offered no evidence that the air controllers or pilots were unfit for the jobs they held. Dismantling diversity programs was a campaign promise by Mr. Trump. So, too, was remaking the federal government. In Miami, Washington, and Las Vegas today, several top FBI leaders were forced to resign or retire, with other investigators expecting to be fired, even before Mr. Trump's pick to run the FBI is confirmed. And hundreds of State Department contractors were terminated, with more to come, as Mr. Trump froze foreign aid programs, triggering financial crises across a wide array of programs, like AIDS relief.
Margaret, those are the firings. What about the people they were supposed to work for, which is to say the cabinet heads? A lot of them are in nomination hearings. What are you hearing about the status of those nominations?
Well, John, this afternoon I was speaking to a well-placed Republican source who is particularly concerned that Tulsi Gabbard, the pick to run the intelligence agencies, may not have enough support to even make it to a vote in the full Senate. 3 Republican senators have indicated they felt she did not directly answer a fairly softball question on whether Edward Snowden was a traitor and had damaged national security when he stole government secrets, leaked them, and then fled to Russia.
And then, Margaret, there is that big about face on freezing federal funding this week. How much does that complicate things?
It did complicate them because that confusing back and forth with the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, that directive that temporarily paused funding, it was an unforced error that has complicated the confirmation of the new budget director, Russ Voigt. A Hill source told me it was slopsy, clumsy, poorly thought out, and it didn't have a good reception among fellow Republicans. Keep in mind, Republicans have the Senate majority. They don't need a single Democratic vote to confirm nominees. They just have to stay united.